better. So I feel so honored and pleased to have the chance to work on the Classic of Changes together with you. The Classic of Changes, known as the Book of Changes or the Canon of Changes, or we say the I Ching, it is an amazing book. To better understand its status in Chinese ideology, I'd like to brief you on the classification of ancient Chinese books. You know that Chinese people could read the ancient books written 3,000 years ago. However, there are so many ancient books, like a vast expanse of sea. And how to classify those books? Some scholars are especially engaged in the classification of ancient books. So according to their research work, ancient Chinese books fall into 4 categories: the Confucian classics, historical records, philosophical writings, and miscellaneous literature. The Confucian classics ranked first, including 13 classics of Confucianism, mainly the 5 classics and 4 books. So remember the 5 classics mainly. And next, the historical records. As to the historical records, there are 3 styles. The historic books written in biographical style, this is the most important. They are biographies, like the 24 histories. And the next style is the annals or chronicles written in chronological order. And the third type are the historic books in separate accounts of important historic events. So 3 styles, according to historical figures, according to the time sequence, and according to events. And third type is the philosophical writings. There are various schools of ancient philosophers, like the Confucianists, military strategists, legalists, Buddhists, Taoists, mathematicians, Mohists, etc., the philosophers. And the fourth type is the miscellaneous literature, the anthology of prose, verse, essay, poetry, literary criticism, drama, etc. So among the 4 categories, the Confucian classics ranked first. And you know the 5 classics. So as to the 5 classics, Confucius was thought to be either the editor or the author. And in the 5 classics, which book ranks the first? The I Ching, or the Classic of Changes, ranks the first. And the next is Classic of History. And the Classic of Poetry, or the Book of Songs. And the Classic of Rites, or the Book of Rites, the ritual, the courtesy, etc. And the Spring and Autumn Annals. Confucius is thought to be the author. So Confucius was thought to be either the author or the editor of the 5 classics. Now, some people thought that the Book of Changes is just a book of divination, of prediction, like fetishes and superstitions. However, please think twice. Why did so many people study and use it since it took form in the dawn of history? Why are so many people crazy about it? So what is the essence of the book? Is it pre-science or culture? So what can we learn from it? So shall we first try to understand it? Now, here we can see see the Book of Changes, mainly carved on the bamboo slips. And here you can see the rubbings. Now let's learn some basic information about the I Ching, or the canon of Confucianism. The first, number one canon of Confucianism. I Ching consists of the Book of Changes and remarks on trigrams. Trigrams, or we say 八卦. Okay? 8 trigrams, 八卦. And it was composed between Yin and the Zhou dynasties by 3 saints around 3,000 years ago. And it was composed over a long period of time. And the 3 saints are the legendary Fu Xi and the King Wen of the Zhou dynasty and Confucius. And it originated from the ancient witchcraft, or we say the Chinese shaman, or the enlightened being, like the wizard or the witch. So originated from the witchcraft. And it mainly includes symbolic hexagrams. Hexagrams with 6 lines. These are the main contents, and the lexicological commentaries, the judgments, the words, these are the main contents of the I Ching. And it contains 3 secret layers of wisdom. Symbolism. Symbolism is the phenomena. And then numerology. Numerology according to numerals. So divination or prediction according to numerals. And philosophy. Profound philosophy. Now here are the 3 saints supposed to be authors. Traditionally, it was believed that I Ching originated from the mythical figure, the legendary figure Fu Xi. So Fu Xi was the author of the innate or prenatal 八卦. We have the prenatal 八卦 and the postnatal 八卦. It was said that one day when Fu Xi was taking a walk along the river, he saw a turtle floating to the surface, and he was enlightened by the pattern on the back of the turtle. And then he was inspired and created the 八卦, or the 8 trigrams. So Fu Xi was the legendary figure, and the King Wen of the Zhou dynasty, who composed the postnatal 八卦. So we have 2 kinds. The innate, or the prenatal 八卦, and the postnatal 八卦, and Confucius. Confucius was the author of the commentaries or the appendixes known as the 10 Wings. And it was Confucius who transformed the divination into profound philosophy. In his later years, Confucius was obsessed by I Ching, and he read the canon of changes over and over again, so that the forms stringing the bamboo slips together broke 3 times. You know, I Ching was carved on the bamboo slips and tied together by leather ropes. And the leather ropes broke 3 times. So Confucius was so diligent, was so hardworking. He had made painstaking effort on the I Ching. Now, let's look at the meaning of change. The meaning of change has 3 layers of meaning. Simply change, change, and no change. Now let's take the cloud as the example. Although the cloud changes into different patterns, we could still recognize that it is the pattern of an eagle or of a tree. It represents that although Tao, or the law of the universe, expresses its way in different patterns, we can still learn about it through our vigilant observation. So this is called simply change. And the change, the cloud pattern changes from an eagle to a tree. This is the meaning of change. And the Tao expresses expresses its way in different patterns in nature and in our daily lives. And no change. No matter what pattern a cloud forms, we still call it a cloud. And the Tao, the law of the universe, is always there. It never changes. Now let's work on the basic series. So I Ching was based on the 5 elements, the negative and positive theory, or we say yin-yang theory, and the theory of 8 trigrams. So in Chinese we say 五行, yin-yang, and 八卦. Okay. Now first, the 5 elements, the theory of 5 elements. 五行. The 5 elements are the 5 basic substances of the universe. Say the wood, fire, earth, metal, and water. 五行 is used for describing interaction and relationship between phenomena. Just as a famous philosopher had said, nothing can stand still. You cannot step twice into the same river. Now, here you can see the arrowheads, the black arrowheads and the white arrowheads. The black arrowheads form the generating interaction, which forms a circle. And the white arrowheads forms the overcoming interaction, which form a star. Now, first, let's look at the generating cycle. The wood feeds fire. Fire creates earth. Earth bears metal. Metal carries water, and water nourishes wood, so forming a round circle. So the shape of circle is symbolic of peace, of harmony. In China, a full moon is symbolic of family reunion. So the round shape is symbolic of peace and harmony. And now let's look at the overcoming interaction. The wood parts earth, and earth absorbs water. Water quenches fire. Fire melts metal, and metal chops wood. So the overcoming interaction forms a star. So the shape of star is symbolic of fight, struggle. Yeah. Okay. Do you know the Pentagon? The Pentagon is the building of the National Defense, Ministry of National Defense of the U.S. So the star is symbolic of struggle and fight. Here we know that in the earth we have 5 substances: metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. And then correspondingly, in the heaven, we have the 5 planets. Say the Venus, Jupiter, Mercury, Mars, and Saturn. And in our human society, in Confucianism, we have 5 cardinal virtues. Say benevolence or kindness, righteousness, propriety, courtesy or right, wisdom, and trustworthiness or loyalty. So heaven, earth, and man are the 3 grades of the universe. So here we can see the Tai Chi diagram. This is the diagram of the universe. Now let's have a look at the sources of Bagua, the origin of Bagua. Here we would like to memorize some sentences. 5 sentences. The limitless produces the delimited, or the absolute, called Tai Chi. And the Tai Chi produces two forms, negative and positive, or we say yin and yang. And the two forms produce four phenomena, namely lesser yin, great yin. Great yin is the moon, and the lesser yang and the great yang. Great yang is the sun. And the four phenomena produce 8 trigrams, known as Ba Gua. 8 trigrams and 8 trigrams make 64 hexagrams. So the procession, the sources of Ba Gua. Now here you can see the sketch left over by I Ching. Say the Tai Chi diagram, the 8 trigrams, the river chart, so very mysterious. So here we can see the limitless. Original, the limitless, the infinite, or the non-polar. The limitless produces the delimited. So this is the delimited, Tai Chi. Or the great ultimate, the supreme ultimate, the supreme pole. And the Tai Chi produces two forms. And here you can see the Tai Chi diagram. Now shall we try to make an analysis of the Tai Chi diagram? First, look at the circle, the outer circle. The outer circle itself represents a whole, namely everything in the universe. And here you can see two fishes, all curves, no straight lines. So you can see two fishes, the white fish and the black fish. So here the white fish represents yang elements, the positive, the yang elements, and is generally depicted as rising on the left. And the black fish represents yin elements or negative elements and is shown descending on the right. And have you found the two dots? A small dot of a different color at its furthest point. It indicates how each will transform into the other. So two forms, positive and negative. The positive line is unbroken and the negative line is broken. So the sun, the day are positive, solid, hard, and moving, while the negative line is broken. It is open, still, like the moon, the night. And the two forms produce four phenomena. Now, let's look at the yang element, described as masculine in character. So the yang element, active, warm, dry, bright, and creative. So we can see it in the sun, the fire, anything with heat. So for the mountain, the yang is the southern side of a mountain. And for a river, the northern side of a river. And representing the male property, the yang. And the yin is the female or negative characteristic. It is fertile, breeding, dark, cold, wet, secret, mysterious, slower and slower. So it can be seen in the moon, the shadows, quiet things. For the mountain is the northern side of a mountain and the southern side of a river. Now the negative and positive theory, or we say the yin-yang theory, together they express the interdependence of opposites. So yin and yang are the polar opposites, and into which all things can be classified. So the male and the female, life and death, good and evil, dark and light are all manifestations of yin and yang. So now let's look at the interplay of yin and yang. Yin and and yang are mutually rooted. So they are the two complementary qualities. And they mutually transform. So perpetually becoming and fading away. This is the process of qualitative change. And they also mutually wax and wane, expanding and contracting. They are in dynamic balance, so this is the process of quantitative change. So the two forms produce the four phenomena. So remember, always from the bottom to the top, we add one line on the top. So add the positive, negative. So the four phenomena, this is the great yang or the sun. And this is lesser yin. And the lesser yang and the great yin, this is the moon. And the four phenomena produce 8 trigrams. By putting together 3 lines upwards from the bottom to the top, in all possible combinations, 八卦 or 8 trigrams are used to represent 8 basic elements. Each consists of 3 lines, either broken or unbroken. So when the world began, there were the heaven and earth. The heaven mated with earth and gave birth to their sons and daughters, everything in the universe. So here you can see the 8 trigrams. This is the heaven, the lake, the fire, thunder, wind, water, mountain, and the earth. So here we can see the 8 trigrams in Chinese mythology. So how to judge the trigram? Is it negative and positive? So we can see that in each trigram there are 3 lines. If there is only one single unbroken line, this is the positive. And if there is only one single broken line, and this trigram is negative. Now we can see that the heaven is positive and the lake is negative. There's only one broken line. So, and the fire is negative, the thunder is positive, there's only one unbroken line. And the wind is negative, the water is positive, the mountain is positive, and the earth is negative. Now, shall we try to get familiar with the 8 trigrams? First, Qian, the heaven. This is the figure of heaven. And here you can see the image of heaven. The image in nature is the sky and heaven. And the direction is south. So south is on the top. So on the top is south. And the family is the father. The body part, the head. An attribute is vigor and strength. The state is creative and the animal is dragon. So the animal is of the heaven is dragon. And the vital energy, we know that it is positive. And next is the lake. Image in nature is, you can see the lake, swamp, and the marsh. The direction is southeast, this direction, southeast. And the family member, youngest daughter. The body part is mouth, and the attribute is pleasure, the state is tranquil, and the animal is sheep. The vital energy is negative. And next, fire, the Li trigram. Image is fire, direction is east. And the family member is second daughter, body part, eyes, attribute, brightness, state is adaptable, and animal is pheasant. The vital energy is negative, the fire. And thunder. You can see the image, The direction, northeast, family is the eldest son, and the body part is foot, attribute is movement, the state is initiative, and animal is horse. And it is positive. Next, wind. You can see the image, the direction, and the eldest daughter. The body part is thigh, attribute is penetrating, and the state is gentle. The animal is chicken and fowl, and it is negative. And water, the direction is west. The second sun, the body part is ear, and attribute is dangerous, state is in motion, and animal is pig. So it is positive. And next, mountain. The image is mountain, the direction northwest, the youngest son. The body part is hand, and attribute is quietness, stillness, the state is completion, and animal is dog. It is positive. And the earth, north, the mother. The body part is abdomen and belly. Attribute is obedience, yielding, the state is receptive, and the animal is cattle or cow. What the cattle eat is grass, and what the cattle produce is milk. So this is the spirit of the great earth. And the vital energy is negative. And there are two different 8 trigrams. Just now we have mentioned the Fuxi Bagua, or early heaven Bagua, or postnatal 8 trigrams. This is the innate trigrams. And another is called Qingwen of Zhou Dynasty Bagua, or later heaven Bagua, or postnatal 8 trigrams. And what's the difference? The difference lies in the order of arrangement. Now first, the Fuxi Bagua, or the earlier heaven Bagua, the prenatal 8 trigrams arrangement. Heaven, what about the direction? Heaven, south, north, east, and west. So heaven is the father. Heaven mated with earth. And here, this is the eldest daughter, and this is the eldest son. So the eldest son and the eldest daughter are opposites. And this is the second daughter and the second son, opposites. And the youngest daughter, youngest son, opposites. So usually we use the earlier heaven Bagua. Pay attention to the direction, south, north, and east and west. These are the directions of the Fuxi earlier heaven Bagua arrangement. Now let's look at the Qingwen of Zhou Dynasty Bagua, or later heaven Bagua, postnatal 8 trigrams arrangement. On the top is fire. What about the direction? South. South is fire. North is water. Water here. You can see that where is heaven? Here. Heaven, lake, fire, thunder, wind, water, mountain, and earth. So this is the later heaven Bagua. And the later heaven Bagua coincides with the 5 elements, the 5 directions, and 5 colors. So you can see that this is the pattern on tortoise shell. So very mysterious. The pattern on tortoise shell left over by the I Ching. So here we can see the white dots and the black dots. The white dots are positive. you can see that they are odd numbers. So odd numbers are positive, and the black dots are even numbers, and even numbers are negative. So any three add up to 15. So horizontal, vertical, and diagonal. Any three add up to 15. And besides, the later heaven bubble coincides with the 5 elements, 5 colors, and the 5 directions. Now shall we begin with the fire? The fire in the north. What about the color? Red. So in China, in the south is the red earth. And in the north is water. What about the color? The color is black. In China, in the north is the black earth. So the color is black. And in the east, the color is green. In the east is the plain, so green earth. And in the west is white. It's metal and white. While in the middle, what about the color in the middle? Yellow. So you know the yellow robe of the emperors. In the middle of China is the central plain. You know the lowest plateau. In the middle is yellow. And these are the Q1 later heaven Bagua arrangement. Now let's look at the derivation of earlier heaven 8 trigrams. Now, shall we repeat the sentences together? This is the limitless produces the delimited, or the Tai Chi. And the Tai Chi produces the 2 forms. The 2 forms produce the 4 phenomena. And the 4 phenomena produce the 8 trigrams. So from the bottom to the top, always add a line on the top. So add a line, positive, negative, and a positive, negative. So we can see that this is positive, negative, and here this is the sun, the moon, this is the lesser yin, this is lesser yang. And remember the heaven, this is lake, fire, thunder, wind, water, mountain, and earth. So here we can see the relationship between Tai Chi and 8 trigrams from the bottom to the top. Now let's work on the 64 hexagrams. With the 8 trigrams as the building blocks, 64 hexagrams were achieved by stacking trigrams upon trigrams. And each hexagram has a name, figure, image, position, and embodiment. And each hexagram has an opening text called judgment. And each of the 6 lines of hexagram also has its own judgment, has its own text. And the general judgment describes the general idea of the hexagram as a whole. And the individual lines refer to the specific elements in the development of the central idea. So here you can see the I Ching carved on the bamboo slips. This is the first hexagram, the heaven, and the second, the earth, and the figures, and the judgment. So there are 64 hexagrams. This is the usual arrangement. It is really painstaking to memorize all the 64 hexagrams. And this is another arrangement, somewhat regular, but we usually use this version. Now, each line is called Yao, and each Yao has its name, position, and embodiment. This unbroken line is called Yang Yao, representing male or positive characteristic. And 9, 9 is the name of Yang Yao in the 64 hexagrams. Why? Because 9 is the biggest odd digit. So 9 is the name of Yang Yao, or positive line. And this broken line is called Yin Yao, the negative line, representing female or negative principle. And 6 is the name of Yin Yao. Why is 6? Because 6 is in the middle of even numbers. So 6 is the name of negative line, negative Yin Yao. And the Yao also has a position from the beginning to the top place. And this position showing the growing process from the initial stage to the pollinating stage, sprouting stage to the growing stage or promoting stage to flourishing stage and ultimate stage. So each Yao has its position. And also has embodiment. For example, the positive Yao has the embodiment like the heaven, male emperor, hard, strong, and odd numbers. And on the contrary, Yin Yao embodies the earth, the female, civilian, soft, weak, and even numbers. Okay, now these are the 64 hexagrams. You can see that each Yao has its name, the figure, also the image, and the embodiment, the position, and the judgment, etc. So there are 64 hexagrams. Today we will just learn some of the hexagrams. Shall we begin? The hexagram number 1. So number 1 is the heaven. This is the name. This is the figure and the image. And here the judgment, the general judgment. And each line has its own text. So there are 6 lines, the hexagram. So we know the first of the 64 hexagram. Qian, the heaven, this is the figure, the 6 unbroken lines. And the image is heaven. And about the position, up, heaven, down, heaven. And the meaning of the text is, in Chinese we say Yuan Heng Li Zhen. Yuan meaning initiation, origination, and Heng prosperity, greatness, and Li benefit, advantage, and the Zhen loyalty, faithfulness, and firmness. So there is a website on fortune telling named Yuan Heng Li Zhen. And the judgment of the first hexagram is heaven moves constantly, man strives unceasingly. So really inspiring. And it is also the topic of our lecture today. Now look at the first 9. Remember, each line has its own text. So the first 9, remember, the number for the positive Yao is 9, remember? And the number for the negative is 6. So the first 9. The first 9 is the hidden dragon. Remember the movie Crouching Tiger and Hidden Dragon? This is the hidden dragon. So here, the dragon is lying in the deep. Hidden dragon and reclining dragon. And it is not the time for active doing. And the second 9 is the emergent dragon. The dragon appears in the field. advantageous to meet with the great man. The dragon is emerging. And the third line is the vigilant dragon. Here, the superior man is active and vigilant all the day, and in the evening he's still careful and apprehensive. So the position is dangerous, but there will be no mistake. And the fourth line is the leaping dragon. So seemingly the dragon is leaping up. So the dragon is looking as if he were leaping up, but still in the deep. There will be no mistake. And the fifth line is the soaring dragon. The dragon is on the wing in the sky, is soaring across the sky. So it will be advantageous to meet with the great man. And the sixth dragon is the proud dragon. This is the topmost line. And the dragon is exceeding the proper limits. So there will be occasion for repentance. There will be occasion for regrets. And the first hexagram, we also have the use of the number dragon. Here, the lines of this hexagram are all strong and undivided. So here we can see a host of dragons. And the host of dragons are appearing without the head. So there will be good fortune. So this is auspicious. Now the second hexagram is the earth. Here you can see the figure. Up, earth, and down, earth. And the general judgment is earth bears obediently, and man acts virtuously. So for each broken line, there's also its own text. And here you can see the national flag of South Korea with the Tai Chi diagram in the center and 4 trigrams of the heaven, water, earth, and fire. So beginning top left and proceeding clockwise. So here we can refer to hexagram number 11 and hexagram number 63. Now first, hexagram number 11. On the top is earth, and below heaven. So earth above heaven. And the judgment is celestial and terrestrial forces in harmony. So indicating a peaceful and prosperous time. And hexagram number 63. Up is water and below fire. So water above fire. Water and fire coordinating. So water and fire coordinating, heaven and earth in harmony, celestial and terrestrial forces in harmony. So that is part of the reason why the economy of South Korea developed so quickly after the Second World War. Now, I'd like to introduce the last hexagram, hexagram number 64. Here, up, fire, and down, water. So fire above water. And this is the general statement. The name of the hexagram is Wei Ji, meaning not yet completed. And this is the figure, fire over water, and the position. And its meaning before completion. So this hexagram indicates a time when the transition from disorder to order is not yet completed. Now, this hexagram also tells us a story about a little fox. A little fox is swimming across the river. When he has almost made it, has almost crossed the river, he had his tail wet. He got his tail wet. And then all his effort has been in vain. that foxes have heavy tails, and they usually hold their tails up when they cross the water to prevent their tails from getting wet. And in times before completion, we should be careful. We should be deliberate. So deliberation and caution are the prerequisites of success. Now about the practice of yin-yang, wuxing, and bagua. So they can be widely used. For example, they can be used in fortune telling, drawing lots of divination, and drawing magic figures, chanting incantations, practicing geomancy or feng shui for selecting a site for a tomb, house, etc. And also selecting an auspicious day for marriage, funeral, shop opening, etc. And choosing names for the newly born infants. And it can also be used by philosophers, scientists, doctor, artist, even calligrapher, military strategist, etc. Now first, in fortune telling. When the ancients couldn't decide the future, they would turn to fortune tellers, just like the gypsies' crystal balls. Of course, you know the gypsies' crystal balls are not accurate at all, but the divination of I Ching is accurate, especially over a long period of time. And you know that here you can see the pictographs carved on, this is the tortoise shell and the beast bones. So the inscriptions on the beast bones or tortoise shells are mainly oracles of divination. And here you can see the yarrow stalks. Instead of using the tortoise shells, I Ching using the yarrow stalks to tell the fortune. So in Zagreb, there's the Lake Yaru, and in summer we can also find the yarrow stalks beside the river. So just divide 15 yarrow stalks into 2 parts at random. So this is called numerology. The numerology, divination or prediction according to numerals. And somewhat similar to the tarot deck, not tarot deck, but more accurate than the tarot deck. And measuring horoscope using the 8 characters in fortune telling. So what are the 8 characters? The date of birth. You know, the date of birth, we have the year, the month, the date, and the hour. So 2 characters each. So there are 8 characters. The date of birth and the 8 characters of a horoscope. In China, we have 10 heavenly stems in combination with 12 earthly branches. We use the heavenly stems and earthly branches to designate years, months, days, and hours. So 2 characters each. So here you can see the 10 heavenly stems and 12 earthly branches. For one cycle, how many years? 60 years, from 1974 to 2033. For example, if a girl was born in 1992 and he was born in the year of monkey, and the 2 characters of the year are ren, shen, and it is quite complicated to designate, to calculate the 2 characters for the months and for the days. And here you can see the Chinese zodiac. The Chinese zodiac are divided into years, while the Western zodiac is divided into months. And the 12 animals of the Chinese zodiac are not associated with constellations. So here you can see from the mouse to the ox, tiger, rabbit, dragon, snake, horse, sheep, monkey, and chicken, dog, and pig. So here are the pictographs. And here we know that the 12 earthly branches are also used to calculate the hours, 2 hours each. And why are these animals? So there are stories behind it. For example, in the midnight, mouse is active in the dead of night. And then the ox chews and ruminates, and farmer feeds grass to it, so at night. And before dawn, the ferocious tiger goes out, wandering and seeking for food. And at dawn, the rabbit goes out, eating the grass with morning dews. And it becomes foggy, and the dragon rides on mists and clouds. And the snake leaves cave seeking for food under the scorching sun. At noon, the heavenly steed, the horse, soars vigorously across the sky. And afternoon, it's time for shepherd to tend sheep. And the monkey crows before sunset, chicken returns home at dusk, and man goes to sleep while the dog keeps watch at night. And then pig sleeps soundly in silence and a digging trough occasionally. So these are 12 earthly branches to designate the hours, 24 hours, 2 hours each. So here we can see that 2 hours each, the beginning and the end. Now, the ancient fortune tellers usually calculate with their fingers. So how do they calculate with their fingers? So you can put up, just to raise your left hand. So beginning from here, this place, here. This is mouse, ox, tiger, rabbit, dragon, snake, horse, sheep, monkey, chicken, and a dog. So here, from here to here. So horizontally, there are 6 pairs of harmony. And vertically, there are 6 pairs of calamity. And diagonally, there are 6 pairs of opposition. Now first, shall we try to find the 6 pairs of harmony? So horizontally, now let's see, horse and sheep. So horizontally, you can see horse and sheep. So horse and sheep, harmonious. And a snake and monkey. Dragon and chicken. Rabbit and dog. Tiger and pig. Ox and mouse. So horizontally there lie 6 pairs of harmony. And vertically there are 6 pairs of calamity, so disastrous. So what are the 6 pairs of calamity? Snake and tiger, dragon and rabbit, horse and ox, sheep and mouse, monkey and pig, chicken and a dog. And horizontally, and diagonally, there are 6 pairs of opposition. So, snake and pig, monkey and tiger, West. So astrology. So astrology is the study of the movements of the sun, the moon, and stars. And a horoscope can also be created, and we can find out future events and learn about personality. So the 12 signs of the zodiac actually represent 12 basic types of personality. So in Chinese zodiac also representing personality, but divided into years. But here divided into months. And your particular sign of the zodiac depends on when you were born. So for example, the Aries in spring. In spring, the Aries, the ram. So the Taurus, the bull, and the Gemini, the twins. And in summer, Cancer, the crane, and the Leo, the lion, and the Virgo, the virgin. My particular sign of the zodiac is Virgo. And in autumn, we have the Libra, so the scales, and the Scorpio, the scorpion, and the Sagittarius, the archer. And in the winter, the Capricorn, the sea goat, and the Aquarius, the water carrier, and the Pisces, the fish. So also, a horoscope can be created, and in months, divided into months. So just now we have learned the pattern on tortoise shell, and then there's also the river chart. The river chart is the universe model. They are all left over by the I Ching. So here is the river chart, which is the universe model. And we can see 28 lunar nations. So 28 lunar nations, there are 7 constellations in each direction. 7 constellations in each direction. And in the south, remember the color? Red and 5. The Suzaku. Suzaku is the red bird. The red bird. The vermilion bird. Red bird. And in the north, the water. Black. Remember? Water, the black. The basalt. Basalt is turtle and snake. The turtle and the snake. And in the east, what about the color? Green and wood. So the dragon. And in the west is white, the white tiger, so the metal. And in the middle, remember the color in the middle? Yellow, so yellow, the earth. So you see, the universe is, of course, very complicated. But if we find a principle, if we find a law, it may not be such a hard task as before. So this is the universe model. The river chart. So we can see the 28 lunar nations. Remember, this is the red bird, the vermilion bird, the Suzaku, or this is the basalt, the turtle and the snake, and a white tiger, and this is the dragon in the east. There are 7 constellations in each direction. So altogether there are 28 lunar nations. And then they can also be used in drawing laws of divination, usually in temples, and drawing magic figures. You can see the magic figures, including Chinese characters like this is auspicious, this is fortune and blessings, and this is inauspicious and disaster, and also some geometric patterns, stars, and some symbols and weapons, etc. The drawing magic figures, and also chanting incantations, praying for good luck, good health, happiness, longevity, and wealth, etc. And then also practicing geomancy, or we say feng shui, for selecting a site for tomb, house, etc. Now here you can see the 13 tombs for the emperors of the Ming Dynasty. It has excellent feng shui. You can see that in the north, it has the mountain in the back. And in the south, there's the river and the open plain. The river and the open plain in the south. And flanked by the Dragon Mountain in the east and the Tiger Mountain in the west. Just like two guards, so safeguarding the tomb of the Ming emperors. So really excellent feng shui. We call it geomancy. And you know, Chinese medicine is also based on a theory of 5 elements and the yin and yang theory. Now, here we have got a metaphor. To boil the water, we have got the water in the pot and the flame. If the water is moderate, in a moderate level, and the flame is also moderate, so everything goes well, and the man is healthy. And suppose the water is very low, and the flame is very high, and then the patient suffers from heat. And suppose the flame is very low and there's too much water, and then the person suffers from cold. If there's too much water and the flame is also very high, then what symptom will appear? Overactivity. Then there will appear the symptom of overactivity. So if the water surface is very low and the flame is also very low, and there appears the symptom of underactivity. So the person is lacking in vital energy, and he may possibly die. So, and what the doctor is expected to do is just to balance the negative and the positive elements. So now we know that I Ching is not only a book of divination, it is a book of wisdom, a book of profound philosophy, of universal law of the development of things. So it tells us to be vigilant in peacetime and mindful of possible danger and learn to turn calamities into blessings. And it attaches importance to harmony, change, and reform. So finally, I'd like to end the lecture with the judgments of the first 2 hexagrams. Heaven moves constantly, man strives unceasingly. Earth bears obediently, and man acts virtuously. Thank you very much. Havara.